All right, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to Down the Stretch. It's been a while, but we are recording this. It's technically Friday, June 17th. Right after the NBA Finals, Curry just won his first Finals MVP, and the Warriors just won their fourth championship in 8 years. So, if anyone has any takeaways from the Finals and the playoffs, go ahead. Floor's open.
Oh man, I'm trying to launch something kind of controversial here. This is weird. I haven't been on a podcast in a while. I think the last one I did was back in April, and I did it with my friend Tyler. You guys know him, and we would always try to launch controversial takes off the rip to kind of get it going a little bit. I'll do it right away. I don't know if there's gonna be any objections here, but Steph Curry, four-time champ, two-time MVP, one-time now Finals MVP, top 10 player of all time, best point guard of all time. It's cemented. It's over.
I would say, I'd say coming into the playoffs, I was a big Magic guy. As a Laker fan, I'm obliged to be a big Magic guy, but the case becomes it's at the point where it's almost too much to ignore. It's like if someone says he's the best point guard ever, you're like, well, you can back it up with everything. Like it makes complete sense. So I don't hate that. I think the Finals MVP is big for him because it's like now the fucking Jagoffs on Twitter aren't like, oh, he doesn't have a Finals MVP. Iguodala has one.
Exactly.
But that was big for him. But besides that, my big take is I think Andrew Wiggins from this Finals run looks like Kawhi Leonard from the Finals run the Spurs had.
Coming. I had a
He's
feeling.
gonna get paid. He's gonna get paid so much.
The thing is, if I'm any GM, I give Andrew Wiggins probably the max after that series, and I feel really good. But I was thinking this as I was watching the Finals, and I'm curious what you guys think about this. I feel like there's maybe only 5-6 centers in the NBA that come Finals time are actually playable.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the way the
league
moved in, the direction that they moved in. Positionless basketball kind of ironically started with the Warriors with Draymond kind of playing that 5 role for a while on those teams where they would go Iguodala as the 4 and then Draymond as the 5 and kind of have KD as a 3, which is really a 4. But, they would have these wings and they kind of invented the 3-and-D wing thing in the NBA too. And it's just kind of accelerated. And it's just kind of ironic that we're talking about that now with the Warriors coming in and winning this championship years later removed from this all happened. Now the league's it's a copycat league. They'll repeat kind of the same things that happen. And I think you're 100% right. Robert Williams, we were talking about it in our text, our group chat, but is one of the 10 best centers easily in the league right now. And, could do a lot of things from a shot blocking perspective, even just contesting shots. If you get switched off onto him, a guard can't necessarily always beat him off the dribble. He can swat it into the seats and he does a lot of good things, but even he at times sometimes doesn't look playable because he just adds nothing, when it comes to scoring on offense. So it's 100% a good point.
Yeah. Jokey, I'm curious if you agree with this, but I'd say under any circumstance, there's only 4 centers that are playable under all circumstances. I think you play Jokic, Embiid, Bam, and Cat, and I think those are the only guys that are on the floor regardless.
Yeah, that was gonna be my point. When I was trying to name off because you said Rob Williams, he might be top 5 next year. I was trying to think of the top 5 right now. I was kind of struggling. Obviously, the big 3, Gobert. Top 4, and then Cat. But yeah, Rob Williams, he's gonna.
Dwight Howard.
He was injured too. Wait, what'd you say now?
Dwight Howard.
He was injured too, and I thought he played. He struggled a little bit on offense, but he's a beast defensively. And one of my friends, he always makes fun of Sixers and stuff, and he always talks about how he doesn't think you can win in the NBA today with a big man as your best player, and it's a fair take because I think in order for the Sixers to win or the Nuggets to win, you have to surround them, Jokic and Embiid, with a fantastic team, great shooters, guys who can score from the perimeter. And those two teams haven't done it yet. But what do you think about that?
I think you can make it work. I think the Sixers and Nuggets could make it work because I think the Warriors do something similar where they have a guy who's not a wing is their best player in Curry. But I think you need it used to be you need like two really good wings that can guard, but at this point you pretty much need three wings that can guard because you're probably going to play your wings 2 through 4. And then you also kind of need like a bench like type of wing. And like I think that's what the Celtics really missed in the series is when you put Brown or Tatum on the bench, your wing player that you're bringing in is Grant Williams. So like
Yeah.
it's not a great wing to bring in the game versus like I thought Otto Porter played great throughout the whole series. I don't even know if he missed like at all. I swear he always hit the corner three.
He
But
played
like
his role.
yeah, like those guys like Draymond, Clay, Wiggins, Otto Porter, Gary Payton's a smaller guy, but he basically was playing like
Yeah.
a wing. And it's like even Jordan Poole to an extent, like there's just an arsenal of guys. And I feel like at this point in the league, you just need 4 or 5 of those guys on the wing that like either play good defense or can get a bucket.
So
Dude,
go ahead, Joe. Sorry.
I'll just go real quick. On the point of Gary Payton, I gotta say one thing about him. There's one play I think he made, it was this series, I think early on, that stuck out to me. He got the ball wide open. Steph was coming around. He
He
like
passed it.
dropped it for him, like set that like kind of moving pick, and then Steph hit a three from there. That like perfectly sums up like those role players. They just did their job. And as you
Oh
said,
yeah.
Otto Porter just stood in the corner. When he got the ball, he shot it. He was open. He made his shots. But dude, yeah, that I mean, you can't obviously Steph is just insane and you can't say enough about him, but the Warriors just surround him for the past 8 years, with amazing talent. We're just players who know how to do their job. Not so
Going
much
back to the point with that joke made with centers being your best player, I think you guys outlined it really well. I think the two things that you need to win a title, and I kind of disagree with your friend. I think you can win with Jokic or Embiid being your the best player on the team, because I think they're two of the top 5 best players in the league. And I'll say Giannis for the Bucks is essentially a center. I mean, he's kind of a point center, where he's a power forward, he's bringing the ball up, but it's the same size effectively. He's getting most of his points in the paint. I don't really think that is it. Some of the traditional fans wanted to see a guy who was a bag, who can score in the mid range, it can do all the things like aka Jason Tatum could do, and he ironically didn't win it. But I think going back to what I was initially going to say, you need one, Joker, you mentioned a power forward that you can kind of play around them. I think that's huge. I mean, Draymond does it with the Warriors, and it's not, obviously a comparison to the situation we're talking about, but a power forward that is willing to do the dirty work, who, even if he's undersized, will distribute, will be able to run offense, at the top of the key, will be able to hit that corner three. Those are things that are really important in today's game. As a Heat fan, I see that with PJ Tucker a lot, and I think a player like him, it doesn't necessarily have to be PJ Tucker, but he's one of those guys that fits into the role. Like, okay, he can be a power forward next to a really good center and make that work. And also you need a guard to be able to run pick and roll too. I mean, I think that was a huge thing with Harden. Why the Sixers wanted to acquire him is they think like, okay, if Harden's got that burst and that first step and still has the ability to hit that step back and stuff, and facilitate to other guys, they're going to be able to run pick and roll against teams and just pick and roll them to death pretty much with those two. And even the Lakers did it in the bubble with AD a lot too. And the ability to have a guard who could do that. And I think Rondo was doing it for him back then, which is kind of weird to think about. But I think you need a guard you can run pick and roll with, and I think you need a power forward who can do the dirty work next to centers. I think you could win that way. And I forget the other point we were talking about. Was it just like the how the Warriors built the roster kind of?
It was just you need like a lot of wings. You need a lot of wings that either play defense.
Yeah, no,
or
100%. Like what you're saying with Wiggins, I mean, I think that's the biggest thing, other than Steph having one of the greater seasons he's had, and Clay coming back. That the biggest thing for them was adding Wiggins, because you saw the importance of even like Harrison Barnes in the years that they won, back in 2015, 2016, were competitive in 2014. He was kind of that 3-and-D wing guy who could not necessarily stop the other team's best player, but could make life harder for him. And, he can hit the corner three. He can buy you a mid-range bucket sometimes. He can finish around the rim. And then on defense, just make life tough. And they didn't have that the last few years, even when Steph was out there. I mean, I don't know who the three was that they were running out there, but it wasn't Andrew Wiggins. And, we talk about Wiggins being a bust, and he definitely wasn't what, he was hyped up to be, what he people thought that he could be just looking at the sheer talent. But when he got on the court, he still has the ability to put 20 up any night that he wants to, even sometimes 30 if he has a shot working. And he still had the physical ability to play defense. I think it was just more mental with him. And then you get him in a building with Steve Curry, you get him in a building with Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, Steph Curry, stuff like that just rubs off on you. If you have the physical ability to do it, you'll develop the work ethic and the desire to do it. And they'll put you in positions where you're not going to get necessarily hunted off the dribble by guards. And you're going to be able to kind of do your thing, guard the players your size. And he really filled his role really well.
Yeah, I mean,
great. That last point is great.
He was really, I mean, in Minnesota, he was pretty much like a hollow scorer, as they call those guys on bad teams, like high volume, low efficiency, just get a lot of points guys. And he definitely, like within 2 years, it's like completely reshaped his like reputation as like now like almost like a glue guy of sorts and like a guy who can do a little bit of everything for you on a championship team. You briefly brought up 2015, 2016 when they had Harrison Barnes. So I was thinking this right after the Warriors won. Do you guys think this is their most impressive of the 4 titles? Because I feel like this might be their, like they were saying it on the broadcast tonight, I think it might be their least talented team.
Mm-hmm. I'll say quickly, I think it is because 2015, I hate doing the injury kind of asterisk, what if, blah, blah, blah. But Kyrie went out in that series and, they had Matthew Dellavedova playing a lot of minutes for him. And there were a lot of games that just went their way, kind of balls that bounced their way in that series. And that was the first one. And that was impressive because I think getting the first is probably the hardest thing with a guy like Curry and with a core like that. The next 2 were Durant years. I don't think any of us are going to argue that was the hardest. And this one, I mean, I'll say it again, I'm a Heat fan and I watched all those Heat Celtic games, and I know you can make all the takes about the Heat that you want, and I'm not going to dispute all of them, but I thought the Heat were a really fucking good team. I thought they could have, were a top 3 team in the league this year. They easily could have won it if they got in it, and Boston just shut down everything that the Heat did, pretty much besides Butler, and turn it into just let's let Jimmy Butler beat us. And he beat him a few games because that's how great he is, but you can't beat him 4 times in a 7-game series. It's ultimately too difficult. And that's because of their size. That's because of the shot making that Brown and Tatum have, and then Horford turning back the clock. They've got Robert Williams, we talked about before. Derek White was a pest. They've got other guys smart up and down the roster. Pritchard hit with some shots, and Udoka I was really impressed with as a coach. And I thought the Warriors going in, I picked the Celtics, and I didn't do it as like a bitter thing, like, if Heat lost, I'm just picking the Celtics. Like, I really thought that team was just really, really good. And I was genuinely surprised to see them lose, especially when they went up 2-1. To come back from 2-1 and win 3 straight was really impressive for me. And I think it is.
What do you think, Jackie? Do you think it's their most impressive of the 4, or do you think 2015 is a little more impressive? Because I think Curry in 2015 was better. I mean, as good as he was in this playoff run, I think 2015 Curry's MVP Curry. So I feel like that's a better version of him. But what do you think? You think this is more impressive than that one?
It's tough. I don't know. I actually had to kind of refresh my memory of 2015. It's like, because obviously 2016 was memorable and then getting Durant, but 2015's winding back the clock. I don't know. Beating LeBron, I think the Celtics team was really good. But no, I think beating LeBron's probably a little more impressive than being the Celtics team. Just because I think LeBron's the greatest of all time. But I don't know. That's a tough comparison. It's still gotta let this one settle.
Okay, so I got 2 things that I'm gonna cover before we wrap it up. The first thing is, I feel like the Celtics, they like back like last year and like the year before that when the Clippers were doing really well with PG and Kawhi, the Celtics kind of gave me like a Clippers type of vibe where you're like, where everyone's just kind of like with the Clippers, you're like, hey, like if they had a point guard who could just like slow things down, maybe run a pick and roll or 2, like that would really calm the offense down. And like as good as Kawhi and PG are at like secondary playmaking and stuff, you're like just a guy who can run a pick and roll, maybe like obviously this guy doesn't play anymore, but like maybe like a Rondo type from like the Boston days where like he's not like a top 25 or top 30 player, but he can run a pick and roll and get you a good bucket. Like I feel like if the Celtics had that and maybe like that instead of Marcus Smart, like I feel like we saw a lot of Jason Tatum and Jalen Brown like just like shrink in big moments, a lot of turnovers, and it's like the game's so pick and roll oriented where it's like, do you guys agree or do you disagree? Do you think like if they had someone who was more of a true point guard, maybe even like a Ricky Rubio or someone that can just run a pick and roll, like do you think they'd probably at least get to 7 games here?
I think that would help. But I mean, I think Tatum's gotta play better, and I think throughout the playoffs, I think he shrunk in like big moments. I mean, tonight he had how many points did he have tonight?
I believe I think I'm almost certain Jalen
Like
Brown outscored him.
13.
Yeah, Tatum had 13, Brown had 34, and even Brown, like I feel like sometimes he makes dumb mistakes with. I know we were making fun of his
His dribbling, yeah.
handles, yeah, but I mean 34. I mean yeah, he carried the weight.
I mean, yeah,
Horford played well.
Tatum had 13 points on 6 of 18. So
Yeah, I honestly, I I think having like that point guard you talked about would definitely have helped. I think Smart's good. I think Smart's good enough though. I mean, he's the defensive player of the year. Um, I like how he attacks the rim. He can make the occasional three. Shoots. I mean, he shoots them at least. Uh,
He shoot, he shoots them.
I'm thinking back to
He shoots them.
I'm thinking back to Ben Simmons, man. It still scars me, but it's nice having a point guard who can shoot now with Harden a little. But now back to the Celtics. I think the main focus is Tatum. He's just gotta play better in
well,
these big moments.
while we're on Tatum and Brown, do you think I've always been a bigger than like I've always been a big Jalen Brown guy more than most people. I don't know if I see like everyone was like Jason Tatum's levels like ahead of Jalen Brown. I don't know how much better Jason Tatum is than Jalen Brown, like actually. Like we might look back, I feel like in 5 years and be like, you know what? If you pick Jalen Brown, you're probably like you wouldn't be that much far off of where you are. Like I think
Tatum when he's on,
you think.
yeah. I mean, I think Tatum when he's on is like maybe a top 5 player, but I think he's really inconsistent. Like you can't have 13 points as your team's best player in an elimination game in the NBA Finals. And I feel
True,
like in the Heat series,
scored 2 points in the second half.
Wow.
Yeah, like that's
Yeah.
ridiculous. In the Heat series, I felt like he had a couple of bad games, and like in the important games. But yeah, like I know what you're saying with the point guard. I think that would have helped, but your best player can't put up a performance like he did tonight.
I agree with both of you in different senses. So Raul, first, I completely agree that I think a point guard to settle the offense down is a really good analogy you made with the Clippers. And it's kind of ironic because I'm kind of going to be pushing this Kyrie to the Clippers agenda. I think that trade might be able to work out in the summer if KD decides to get rid of him. That's a separate point. I'll save that. But as far as the Celtics go, not the reason, but one of the biggest reasons they had the big turnaround, right? They were 11th in the East back in January, end up finishing second, end up winning in 7 against Miami, winning the conference, taking the Warriors to 6 games. The reason that they did all that, or one of the biggest reasons, was that Marcus Smart completely bought into being the point guard. He used to be kind of this combo guard, play a lot off the ball, would shoot the corner threes. My voice is cracking. It's not great. Shoot a lot of corner threes, and make all the hustle plays, all that stuff. And he really bought into being the team's primary point guard so that they could go a lot bigger than other teams. So they would play Brown at the 2, Tatum at the 3, Horford at the 4, and Robert Williams at the 5. And when he did that and became a pass first kind of oriented guy, it really helped them. And I think that's another reason they brought in Derek White too at the trade deadline. Don't forget they had Schroeder and they had Josh Richardson both on their team, and they traded them both at the deadline for I think Daniel Tice, who sucks, and then Derek White. And Derek White did help them a lot with running pick and roll, at least in the Miami series. This series he was not so great besides game 1. But I think when you're Raul, to your point, banking on Smart and White consistently doing that for your team isn't necessarily going to be, the option that you want to bank on. But I don't even know if like a Ricky Rubio type would even like fully fix that. And that's where I want to say I agree with Jokey in the sense that, Smart in that role and White in that role isn't the optimal thing, but you can still win with it. They've shown that. And ultimately, your best player has to kind of put his imprint on the game. And in the finals, the finals are kind of a stage for like the best of the best. It's where all the greatest players, have their biggest moments. You always remember LeBron block and all the big plays that have happened in the NBA finals. And Tatum, I forgot he was out there for like half the games tonight. And honestly, this whole series, he wasn't very good. I mean, I thought Jaylen Brown was probably their best guy in the series and Horford was second. And honestly, like if Brown and Horford are your two best players in a playoff series against one of the greatest players of all time, how far is that getting you? And it got him to 6 games, but Tatum just wasn't, like Jokey said, wasn't consistent enough. He didn't shoot the ball consistently enough. And I think that sometimes he'll just go to the rim and he'll kind of just go to the rim to flail and like throw the ball at the rim and then complain to the referee instead of going strong when he's big enough and he has the body type to be able to finish then. And he has the finishing skill too. Like some games you'll see it. I remember watching a game like 2 years ago they're playing the Clippers. It was a TNT game. He just went constantly rim. He'd score over Paul George or Kawhi literally every time. And he has that ability, but sometimes I think it's mental with him. And, you said it in the group chat, but I think next year he'll kind of come in with a different mentality. Maybe he'll fire off a couple texts to Kobe and he'll be good.
I just think there's no business for Jason Tatum to be so poor. Like I think I saw coming into this game, he was shooting like 33 or 34% at the rim. And like Steph Curry was shooting like 55 or like 57% at the rim. Like Jason Tatum is a much more physical like guy. He should finish at the rim as good, if not better. So I do agree he needs to get a lot better. But like just for the people watching some Tatum numbers, played 42 minutes in game 1, had 12 points and shot 3 for 17. Game 3 shot 9 for 23. Game 4 shot 8 for 23. And then tonight shot 6 of 18. So it's like those are 4 out of the 6 games where he
was Andrew Wiggins of Minnesota.
Yeah, like he's well below 45%. Yeah. And it's like I get Andrew Wiggins played good defense, but at some point your first team all NBA, like show up.
Yeah. I'm a huge fan of him though. Like even as a Sixers fan, I honestly think Celtics fans should be optimistic because I think they have a great team. Like Horford, like he plays really well.
At the very least, you have Brown, Tatum, and you've got this emerging like defensive menace in Robert Williams.
Yeah, Smart. I mean, I think I should have gave Smart more credit for his 3-point shooting abilities, but I mean they have a really good team, and I think this experience will help them. Like, I mean, early on in the game, I think it was really evident. Like Warriors when they went on their run. In the first and second quarter, I was like, all right, yeah, they've been here, done that. Celtics were kind of just like, it was new to them. But they're still young. Tatum and Brown, I do think they'll be back in NBA Finals.
I think
within at least 3 years. I think they'll be back.
Yeah, I think it's definitely an experience thing. It's like, it's both their first time. So like, they're both like in big moments where like we as people, like as the age that we are and like watching the NBA and like being able to remember and like actually analyze what's going on the floor. For us, that's probably like the last like 8, maybe 10 years. And it's like, that's like how we actually like remember finals. And like, that's our period of time so far. And it's like, we've been spoiled to the point where basically for like 3/4, if not more of our like finals watching experience, we've seen LeBron James play. And like we've seen Kevin Durant play, and we've just seen these absolute superstars go back to the finals over and over and over again, and Curry too, where it's like we don't even think about like the lack of experience because we're like, these guys have been here and they just like show up and they make those plays in big moments. And like we're here with such an inexperienced team where it's like, whoa, that play wasn't made. How does that happen? It's like, well, that guy, it's his first time. It's not like Bron playing his 15th finals. Like knows that he has to make that play, but I think they will be better. But yeah, besides that, does anyone have any closing remarks before we wrap it up?
I mean, I'll just say I'm happy for the Warriors. Even though I picked the Celtics, and I'll take that L on my chest, just because I thought they were the better team. I've always been a Steph fan and a kind of Warriors truther through their dynasty years. I was always that kid who kind of rooted for them when everybody else hated them. And I just respect the hell out of the way they build their team and their franchise. You know, Bob Myers, the GM, does a fantastic job. And Steve Kerr, 4-time champion. He's arguably the best coach in the NBA right now, if not, at least top 3. And he does a tremendous job. And Steph, Clay, Draymond, that trio, all the stuff they've done. I mean, it's one of the best trios in NBA Finals history, and going to go down as one of the great dynasties. 4 championships in 8 years, incredible testament, and incredible accomplishment, and then a testament to the Celtics. They're a great team. Like you guys said, they should be back. I hope they're not back soon, but you still got teams in the you still got teams in the East that are good. Philly, of course, and Miami and us, but also Milwaukee and whatever other teams, Brooklyn, maybe if they ever figure their shit out. But they definitely have a good chance. They'll probably be the favorite going into it. And there's a lot of reasons to be optimistic for your Celtic fan too.
Yeah. We need to do another episode because we have a lot more to talk about because we're done with the Warriors. And I just thought of Jordan Poole, and he is a character. Oh my gosh. I had to say that. But overall, yeah. I mean, as Noah said, the Warriors are just like them, LeBron. Those are like what we've been, seeing for the past so many years. And it's good. It's good to see. Good to see them back. The Clay coming back and getting right to it, winning a chip. That was pretty cool. But I'm really excited for next year. That's like my main thing. I'm gonna miss the NBA a lot. I think the East, as Noah said, with Giannis and the Bucks coming back, Celtics with finals experience, Sixers, hopefully revamping.
George Niang.
Yeah, he getting more healthy. It'll be good. Early NBA Finals prediction. I'll go Sixers Lakers.
I don't think we make it back next year. I don't think we that's a story for another day, but we'll probably I'll try to do one like a nice little maybe post draft, post free agency. Like we could do some takeaways and some predictions for the year. So we'll definitely try to get another episode in soon. But
do you guys like Grant Williams? I just wanted to touch on that.
No, I hate Grant Williams. I think he's such a bitch. It's like, dude, get over yourself. Like the things that he does and things he tries to get away with are fine if you're tough. But he's not tough. So it's you're not very good at basketball, and it's you're not going to get away with that. And it's it works for Draymond, but it doesn't work for him.
Even his coach hates him. Did you see the game 5 when he was trying to get, he was doing this about a foul call, and Udoka literally just goes, Grant, stop, please. You can read his lips fully. I'll send you the clip. It was hilarious. And I listened to the Bill Simmons podcast a decent amount, and he's a Celtics fan. And he always talks about how Udoka can't stand Grant, and I just walked away from that Heat series really hating, sports hating, Grant Williams and Derek White and Pritchard, all 3 of them. That's the trio. This trio of shitty bench players that I hate.
Ever since Celtics Bucks game 7 when he went off, I've actually had a little bit of respect for him because he played insane in that game. To play insane in game 7, you gotta tip your hat. But this was good, Rahul.
Yeah, that's all I got.
Podcast is gonna blow up one day.
Yeah, hopefully one of these days. But yeah, if you that's all we got for you guys today. As I mentioned, we'll try to get back post free agency when everything shakes up in the off season. Maybe give you guys another predictions preview. But I guess I'm gonna speak for all 3 of us. I'm gonna miss the NBA, but we get football season soon, so give and take here. But
won't miss Scott Foster. Won't miss him. Can we do a quick brief list of things we won't miss about the NBA? Just to do the narcissistic side of it. I won't miss Grant Williams. I won't miss Scott Foster. I won't miss there's some other things. Mark Jackson saying you got to give this guy credit. He got it done. No, dude. Going to cut the commercial with some cliche line. I won't miss that. But yes, I'll miss it. And it was a good time, guys. Good to hop on.
Yeah, that's all we got. Thank you guys for watching. It's been down the stretch, and we'll see you next time.